Before sunrise in occupied East Jerusalem, families in Silwan woke up to a familiar fear: demolition orders. For many outside the region, that phrase can sound administrative, almost technical: a notice, a legal procedure, a planning dispute. On the ground, it means something far more immediate. It means homes built over decades may be torn down in hours. It means children watching workers mark walls their parents painted. It means furniture moved into streets. It means families calling lawyers they cannot afford. It means neighborhoods living under constant uncertainty, never fully settled, never fully secure. Israeli forces have issued new demolition orders in Silwan, one of the most contested Palestinian neighborhoods in occupied East Jerusalem. The move comes at a moment when violence and political pressure are already spreading across Palestinian territories. At the same time, Gaza saw another deadly day. Medics said an Israeli strike in Gaza City killed 3 people, including 2 police officers. Tank shelling in Beit Lahia killed 2 more. In Khan Yunis, 7 people were killed, including 4 police officers, when a strike hit a police vehicle near a wedding hall, according to witnesses. Gaza's Interior Ministry said the attacks deliberately targeted the police force, undermining efforts to maintain basic order inside the besieged enclave. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out a strike in Gaza City despite a ceasefire that has been repeatedly violated. Taken separately, Silwan and Gaza may look like different stories. One is about bulldozers, permits, zoning maps, and municipal authority. The other is about airstrikes, shelling, and war. But many Palestinians, Israeli officials, diplomats, and legal observers see them as connected parts of a larger struggle over land, governance, and control. To understand why Silwan matters tonight, it helps to understand where it is. Silwan sits just south of the old city walls of Jerusalem, near some of the most politically and religiously sensitive land on earth. Its location makes it more than a neighborhood. It is a strategic zone tied to history, identity, archaeology, tourism, settlement expansion, and sovereignty claims. For Palestinians, Silwan is a long-standing community under pressure. For Israeli authorities and allied settler organizations, the area is often framed through historical and biblical narratives tied to ancient Jerusalem. That collision of identities has turned streets, houses, and property documents into frontline political instruments. Demolition orders in Silwan usually center on claims that homes were built without permits or violate planning rules. Israel says construction laws must be enforced. Palestinian residents and many human rights groups argue the permit system itself is structured in a way that leaves many Palestinian families with almost no realistic path to legal construction. That distinction is crucial. If a population grows but building permits are rarely granted, families still need homes, rooms are added, floors are extended, structures are built, then years later, those same homes can be labeled unauthorized and targeted for demolition. Officials describe law enforcement. Residents describe engineered displacement. That is the split between legal language and lived reality. Silwan has seen this pattern repeatedly. Families receive notices, court battles begin, deadlines move, activists gather, police deploy, bulldozers arrive. Sometimes residents are forced to demolish their own homes to avoid paying demolition costs charged by authorities. That detail alone reveals how deeply personal these policies become. A father destroying the walls he built to avoid a larger financial penalty is not simply a planning matter. It is a social trauma. And it does not happen in isolation. Every demolition changes neighborhood psychology. Neighbors ask if they are next. Property values collapse under uncertainty. Young couples delay marriage. Families hesitate to invest in repairs. Children grow up associating home with instability. This is one reason Silwan receives intense international attention. The issue is not only a single building. It is whether an entire community can remain rooted under sustained pressure. Now place this alongside Gaza. There, medics reported 3 killed in Gaza City, including 2 police officers. 2 more were killed by tank shelling in Beit Lahia. 7 were killed in Khan Yunis, including 4 police officers, when a police vehicle was struck near a wedding hall. Gaza officials say police were deliberately targeted. If accurate, the strategic implication is significant. Police in wartime are often the remaining structure that organizes daily life. They help direct movement, secure aid lines, prevent looting, respond to disputes, and maintain some form of civic order. When police are weakened, society becomes harder to manage. When governance becomes harder, desperation grows. When desperation grows, instability spreads. This mirrors the broader pattern many analysts point to. Pressure not only on armed groups, but on the civil systems that allow Palestinian communities to function. In Gaza, strikes hit police and infrastructure. In East Jerusalem, demolitions hit homes and neighborhood continuity. Different methods, similar consequences. The weakening of civilian resilience. Israel rejects that framing and argues its actions are driven by security, law enforcement, and counterterrorism needs. Israeli officials maintain that planning laws apply and that military operations target threats, not civilians as such. But critics respond that outcomes matter as much as stated intent. If neighborhoods are repeatedly destabilized, homes removed, and civil structures degraded, then the result is long-term displacement and fragmentation, regardless of official language. That argument is central to growing global scrutiny, because modern conflicts are increasingly judged not only by battlefield events, but by whether civilian life can survive the policies surrounding them. Silwan is also important because Jerusalem carries unique symbolic weight. Any move in East Jerusalem reverberates regionally. Arab governments monitor it closely. Palestinian factions use it politically. Religious communities worldwide react emotionally. Western capitals face pressure to respond diplomatically. Even small political actions trigger outsized political consequences. That is because East Jerusalem remains one of the most disputed final status issues in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israel considers Jerusalem its undivided capital. Palestinians seek East Jerusalem as the capital of a future state. Most of the international community does not recognize Israeli sovereignty over occupied East Jerusalem in the same terms Israel asserts. So when demolition orders are issued in Silwan, they are read not only as urban policy but as sovereignty signals. Who controls the land? Who gets to build? Who gets to stay? Who decides the future map? That is why bulldozers can become diplomatic events. There is another layer often missed abroad. Demolitions can alter demographics gradually without mass expulsions that trigger immediate global crisis headlines. Instead of one dramatic event, change happens parcel by parcel, block by block, family by family. Slow pressure attracts less attention than sudden war. But over years, it can reshape realities on the ground. This is why Palestinians often describe East Jerusalem policy as cumulative displacement. Each case may appear narrow. Together, they change the city. Meanwhile, Gaza remains a humanitarian and governance emergency. The Israeli military confirmed it carried out a strike in Gaza City despite a ceasefire that has repeatedly broken down. That phrase captures the wider problem. Ceasefires without enforcement mechanisms often become pauses, not solutions. Violence resumes, distrust deepens, institutions weaken further, then even peace becomes harder to administer. The connection between Silwan and Gaza is not only political, it is psychological. For Palestinians, events in one place often reinforce fear in another. A demolition notice in Jerusalem, a strike in Gaza, raids in the West Bank, arrests elsewhere. Many experience them not as separate incidents, but as one continuous landscape of insecurity. For Israelis, the psychology can be different but equally powerful. Memories of attacks, fear of militancy, demands for deterrence, insistence on security control. These competing fears harden politics, and hardened politics leaves little room for compromise. Internationally, the cost is growing. Allies of Israel increasingly face pressure over support policies. Arab states must respond to public anger. Human rights groups document patterns of displacement and civilian harm. Global institutions issue warnings that rarely change realities on the ground. The result is diplomatic stagnation paired with worsening facts. That is often the most dangerous combination. When negotiations stall but realities keep changing, the eventual settlement becomes harder, narrower, and more bitter. Tonight in Silwan, some families may be gathering documents, calling attorneys, speaking to neighbors, wondering whether dawn brings machinery. Tonight in Gaza City, other families are mourning the dead. Tonight in Khan Yunis, survivors near a wedding hall are processing another strike where celebration space turned into tragedy. Different streets, different methods, same conflict. At its core, this is a struggle over whether Palestinians can sustain normal life under abnormal conditions. Can a family keep its home? Can a neighborhood keep its population? Can a city keep its identity? Can an enclave keep any functioning governance? Until those questions are answered politically, they will keep being answered through force, permits, demolitions, raids, and war. And each new demolition order in Silwan will mean more than paperwork. It will mean the conflict has once again entered someone's front door.